Good day, my dear students. I trust God you're fine and you're staying safe. I am your computer studies teacher at Sleek Angels International School, and my name is Mr. Chris Imoni Casey. Today, I'll be having a class with the SS3 students. Of course, it's a revision class on the topic programming language. Programming language is actually a topic we have done before in your SS1, if you will still recall. But for the sake of today's revision, let's look at it again and remind ourselves of what we've done before. Okay, so programming language is the topic we are looking at today. But before I look at what programming language is, there are two words here I want us to understand. Okay, the first is programming and the second is language. Programming in the context of computing is simply the act or the process of writing programs. Now, a language is any form of communication. It's just like humans, we have a form of communication. There are so many languages that people speak every day to communicate with one another. So the same thing applies when it comes to the computer system. The computer has a language it understands where people use this language to control the computer, to tell the computer what to do. Okay, so that's what we call computer language. Now, computer language is a special language that is understood by the computer. It is a language understood by the computer. It is also a set of words, symbols, and codes that are used to write a computer program. So there are people who write programs to instruct the computer on what to do. They write programs to solve problems. So these people that write programs to solve problems are called computer programmers. Okay, programmers are those people that use codes, symbols, words to instruct the computer on what to do. Are you following? Now, I have said that the act of writing programs is called programming. A programmer is someone who uses programming languages to solve problems. Now, what is a program? A program is a set of instructions or codes that are used to solve problems. Are you following? Now, programming language is categorized into two. Programming languages are categorized into two. One of them is the low-level language, abbreviated as or written as LLL, low-level language, and we have the high-level languages. So, in this class today, we'll be looking at these two categories of programming languages. Now, let's start with the first, which is the low-level language. Now, the low-level language, I am going to use this to explain what a low-level language is. A low-level language is divided into two. One is what we call the machine language, and the second is assembly language. A low-level language is that language that is closer to the computer machine. It is closer in the sense that the programs are written on the computer, particularly to solve problems. A low-level language is written so that it can solve problems, and the programs that are written using a low-level language cannot be transferred from one computer to another. Now, what it means is that if you write a program using a Dell computer, for instance, that program cannot run. The word run in computer is simply execute. That program cannot be executed using a Toshiba computer. So now look at the difficulties in writing programs in machine language. The difficulty is this. You write a program using a Dell computer, you cannot run that same program using a Toshiba or a HP computer. It simply means you have to rewrite another program that will meet the specification of the machine you want to use. You have run that program on Dell. It is not going to be compatible on Toshiba because they are various or they are different specifications. Now, apart from that, it is also cumbersome. It is difficult, it is time consuming, and that is why today we have what we call the high-level language that is much more closer to the human understanding than to the machine language. We will get to that as part of what we'll look at today in this class. So the low-level language is categorized into the machine language and the assembly language. What is a machine language? A machine language is that language that is understood by the computer without any form of translation. It is directly understood by the computer without any form of what? Translation. That is what a machine language. A machine language is written using what we call binary bits. We call it binary bits. Binary bits are what? Zeros and ones. So a programmer that programs using a machine language will have to do what? Write these programs using zeros and ones. What they do is to convert every single letter they want to write into its binary equivalent. Now imagine that you're writing a sentence like, hello, how are you? You have to convert each of those letters, like H has its binary equivalent, E has its binary equivalent. You have to convert it like that before you can use it to form a program. Now you can see how tedious that is. You can see how difficult it is. And that is why today people do not program using machine language again. In fact, it was that difficulty of using a machine language that led to the discovery of what we call the assembly language. So the assembly language is also a low-level language, but in this context or this time around, it is not machine dependent. What happens in the assembly language is that the programmer uses what we call mnemonic. It uses what we call mnemonic. Mnemonic simply means name suggests meaning. Mnemonic means name suggests meaning. Now, it means that if I have a letter like A can represent addition. If I have a letter like C can represent comparison. Okay, as the case may be. So programmers have to use assembly language to relieve the stress they had in using machine language to write programs. And that's how assembly language was written. But remember that the computer does not understand assembly language. This assembly language is a little closer to the human, and so there has to be another program that will translate this program that is written in assembly language to the machine language. And that's where we have what is called assembler. We have what we call assembler. So the assembler is a program or is a translator that is used to convert programs that are written in assembly language to the machine language that the computer will understand. The assembly or the assembler is a translator or a program that is written to convert programs that are written in assembly language to the machine language that the computer understands. I hope you're clear on that. Now, the next one is the high-level language. The high-level language, which here is HLL, is a language that is closer to the human beings. Now, what does it mean? as a programmer, all I need to do is to write programs in simple, plain English that I understand, and then I need a translator to convert that program I have written to solve problems. I have to use that translator to convert it from the language I have written that I understand to the language the computer will understand, which is the machine language. So what I do is that as a programmer, I will write my programs, and after writing my programs, I will use my translator to convert that program I have written that is in a high-level language that I understand to series or bits of zeros and ones, which is what the machine language, which is automatically the language the computer understands. Are you following? Am I too fast? Okay, I'll take that again. I said that a high-level language is a language that is closer to the humans. It is closer to the programmers. They write programs using different programming languages that are understood by the humans, and then after writing these programs, they use what is called a translator, like in the case of an assembler, there is a translator, and then they use translators to translate these programs that have been written in the language that humans understand to the language that the machine will understand, or the language that the computer will understand, which is the machine language. I hope you are clear on that. Now, there are different examples of programming, of high-level programming languages. Okay, we'll come to that. There are different examples of high-level programming languages. Let me list them down for you. Okay, one of them, which they teach most times in most schools, is what we call BASIC. BASIC. BASIC is an acronym for beginners, all-purpose, symbolic, instruction, code. So the B is gotten from beginners, the A is from all-purpose, the S is from symbolic, the I is from instruction, and the C is from code. So BASIC is an example of a high-level programming language. BASIC is closer to the human being than the computer machine. Another example of high-level programming language is Fortran. Fortran is also an acronym for formula translator. For formula translator. That is also another example of a high-level programming language. We also have another one that is called COBOL. COBOL is also an acronym for Common Business Oriented Language. So common is derived from CO, business oriented language. Okay, so we have BASIC, we have Fortran, we have COBOL, we have lots of high-level programming languages like Java. We also have what's called the HTML, we have MySQL, we have Oracle, and the rest of them, and so on. Okay, now remember that I said earlier that when you program using a high-level language, it must be translated. It must be converted to a language that the computer will understand. The computer does not understand English. What it understands is the zeros and one. That's why that computer is designed using binary digits. The computer understands binary digits of zeros and what? Ones. So as a programmer, there is what we call translators that are used to convert these programs that have been written in a high-level language that we understand to the machine language. So that takes us to what we call translators. Takes us to what? Translators. Translators are programs that are written to convert programs from one language to another. Translators are programs that are written to convert statements or programs that are written in one language to another. Now, in translators, we have basically three types of translators. We have three types. The first one is what we call the compilers. We have the interpreters, and we have the assembler. We have explained the assembler before, but we can still explain it again. The compilers, interpreters, and assemblers are all the types of translators that we have. Are you with me? Fine. Now, what are compilers? They are simply programs or software that are used to convert programs written in high-level language to the machine language at once. Now, let me take that again. They are used to convert programs from high-level language to machine language at once. Now, there is what we call source code and object code. We have source code and object code. A source code is the end of this. A source code is simply what a programmer is writing or what a programmer has written down, either using his notebook or using a notepad in the computer system. It is called a source code. An object code is the code that the machine understands. So the translator or the compiler rather converts source codes to object codes at once. So if I have lines of statements, okay, you know, we did a course like, there was a topic we learned in SS1 basic programming where we have what we call line numbers. Okay, those line numbers helps us to know the line statements of our programs and so on. So if we have, let's say we have line 10, 20, 30, and 40 as our program, the compiler will convert all these statements at once. The compiler will convert all the statements at once to the object code that the computer will understand. Now, that is for the compiler. For the interpreters, it will convert these statements in lines. It will convert it in lines. So it will take line 1, for instance, convert it to the object code. If there is any error, it will prompt the programmer that there is an error, and the programmer will go to that line and correct it. The same thing, it will go to line 2 and correct. It will go to line 3 like that until it finishes what? The conversion from the source code to the object code. While for the compiler, it will compile this entire statement at the same time, and it will return whatever errors that are in that programs, so that the programmer will now go back and start making corrections after the compilation. While for the interpreter, it will convert this statement line by line. I hope those distinctions are clear. Now, the last one, which we have seen also, is the assembler. The assembler is a program that is written specifically for the conversion of assembly language to the machine language. So also, it will convert from the source code to the object code that the computer will understand. I hope you're following the class and you're enjoying the class. Remember, it's a revision class. We have done this before. Okay, now you're going to do something for me. I want to give you an assignment. Okay, I'll give you an assignment you're going to do for me, and then I'll drop my email address and my WhatsApp phone number. You can send to anyone that you prefer. So here is an assignment for you. Please do it and send to my email address. You are to list 10 different high-level programming languages. Please note, do not include the ones we've already mentioned in the class. So list 10 different high-level programming languages. 2, differentiate between high-level language and low-level language. And 3, how is assembly language different from machine language? Now, when you're through with that assignment, send it to either of the following links on the board, either my email address or my WhatsApp phone number. My email address is akpobarikchris@gmail.com, or my WhatsApp phone number 0706 456 0387. It is a good thing to know that you are staying safe wherever that you are. Hope to see you again some other time. Until we meet again, stay safe. God bless you all.